how are you?
I'm doing great. So, as somebody who is from Pennsylvania, I'm from the other side. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But the accents in this show, I was like, oh yeah, they're just as bad as they should be. What for you guys was like the biggest trick to getting into the feel of Pennsylvania? Because Pennsylvania as a state, to me, has such a specific feel, and this show does a good job of kind of owning that it is set there.
Okay, so for me, I think it was just being there, from the jump. I asked production to have me come out a bit earlier because I was very paranoid about how Emilia sounded because I'm from South Africa, so my accent is just far removed from the American accent in general. But then being there, from wardrobe test to hair and makeup, being in conversation with the different collaborators, I think it brought the script to life before we even started filming. It was very beneficial because you feel the warmth of the people that you're working with, and I think that's something that that speaks to what the city is in general. That people are welcoming, people are funny, just effortlessly funny. Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah. I guess. Whew. I'm sorry, what was the question? No.
Well, how was it, like, what was the thing for you that made, like, the feel of Pennsylvania
the feel of it. I guess it was the crew and the people that we were working with, and the consultants, like the chief and, you know what I mean? And like, the FBI guy and, those people who live this life every day, and I mean, I feel like those were the people, and those are the voices, like the guy who did the craft service. I mean, the local people. You know what I mean? That's really what did it for me.
Even Jeremiah himself.
Jeremiah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Brad too. I mean, they're it.
Exactly.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, because you guys get to be part of my favorite thing in stories like this, because it's like one of my favorite movies is Zodiac, because I love that they're people who are good at their job and they're trying.
Yeah.
So even though we get clues on what's actually going on in the mystery unfolding, you guys get to be the people who are trying to do the best that they can. What for you guys is the most exciting part about playing characters who are just trying to do a good job and trying to figure out what's going on in this town?
I don't know. I like playing people who are really dedicated to a job, regardless of what the job is. Like that's it's a great starting point for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's super specific. When you know that someone has worked so hard at the FBI that they've become a woman who's the special agent in charge of a field office in Pennsylvania, that tells you a lot from the jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I really love. But I think also I think the way Brad writes, there's not a whole lot of exposition, but there is a lot of behavior in his writing and things that would seem expository. He's very good at this, and not a lot of writers are good at this. In fact, not very many at all. But he can do exposition through behavioral dialogue, which is really extraordinary. It's not something everybody can do. And that's exciting for me. That's something I want to be a part of, because not only does it mean that I don't have to work that hard, but you know what I mean? Like, he's really done most of the heavy lifting, as far as I'm concerned, for me anyway.
Yeah.
But that makes it easy for me to chill out and behave like the person rather than act like the person. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
For me, I think, echoing everything that Martha said. And then in addition, it's just, being within this particular space, it's that Emilia, being as efficient as she is, challenged Thuso, who's super relaxed in general. Because again, there's that, the chunky dialogue, the office talk, the procedural talk. It forced me to step up a little bit, because you're not cruising here. We're on this case. And Emilia is the one that's Tom tags in, like, okay, Emilia, what do you know about this? Because she is the type to try to arrive first at the scene. You know, she probably doesn't sleep at night, you know, for doing extra credit for herself. And yeah, that required, you know, just brain switching from me. Because in the past, I'll say this, the roles one has played in the past are challenging, but one has, you know, leaned more into the emotional side of it. Whereas this was just like, it's a lot of jargon in conversation, and I haven't had to do that before. I've never played an officer before, you know. I've never been in this type of world before. And yeah.
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 The jargon is tough. With that, and also with medical people. When you're playing a doctor, it's like, Jesus H. Don't ask me to reel off these abbreviations and the stats and the CPAPs and the whatever they'd say. You know. But the cool thing is with Brad that even with that jargon, you know, everyone has their sort of relationship to it.
Yes,
so,
100%.
you know, like Kathleen's got her own relationship to it, whereas Leah has her own relationship to it. And so whatever, you know, Thuso may bring to that is what informs Alea's, you know, character. It was just so wonderful. And I think Brad really listens to the actors in that sense. So it ends up being a nice sort of melding of worlds.
Yeah, one, I love what you said about, you know, exposition versus just kind of like behavioral dialogue, because, you know, a lot of the times you get a lot of information about a character, but I studied acting and I was like, well, no, I like to kind of figure out myself what this character's like. Is that more fun for you guys as actors to get to figure that out on your own and not have it just kind of spelled out
Absolutely, for you? It's more fun, and it's also just better dialogue. It just feels better coming out of your mouth. I mean, jargon and that kind of stuff is a different thing, because that's necessary. It's part of the job. It's part of daily life for these people, and they're used to it. But some people are just starting out and figuring out how to deliver that jargon in a way that sounds, you know, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer it, and I like the fact that he doesn't say, you know, I never had any lines like, Tom, I know what you're going through, because I went through something similar. Back 20 years ago, I had a husband. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Nobody cares about that. They care about what's happening now in these people's lives in the present, and what they're gonna do, how they're gonna choose to deal with it. And how they choose to deal with it is the way that Brad story tells and things unfold, which is really great. It's just good writing.
I love the show. I can't for everyone else to get to see it. And before I leave, Martha, I just want to tell you, my best friend and I, we're Goonies kids, but she just got engaged on the beach and did it with like the map and everything. It was like the cutest little engagement ever.
That's really sweet.
And so I was like, she's gonna be so excited. I talked to Martha.
That's really nice.
Thank you guys for talking to me.
That's sweet. Yeah.
So to start, I have to say, Emilia, you were the reason that I realized this was set in Pennsylvania. Because because I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm the other side, but I was like, I'm not going to look anything up, I'm just going to dive in. And then I heard your accent, I was like, hold up, where are they from? And then I started to figure it out. But
I love it.
I do love that this show does feel like it is a Pennsylvania show, and I know you guys filmed there, but I wanted to ask you guys, what for you was the biggest, like, trick or, like, thing that helped you guys realize, like, okay, we're in Pennsylvania, it feels like the state, and we're honoring kind of where this story is taking place?
Well, I think Brad makes a really, really, I wouldn't say a point, but he really does respect his town, and so does Jeremiah, and I think they have so much love for where they grew up in this community and the details and the beauty of Pennsylvania, of Delco County and Philadelphia, and I think they kind of not only injected that into the script, but also really shared that with us. And, you know, like, it was your first time. I've been to Pennsylvania a bunch before, but never to this part of Pennsylvania, and they were so excited to share it with us, and it was excited to receive. You know, when someone's like really excited about a place or something, and you're like, show me around, tell me everything. And I think, like, on screen and off screen, we got to, like, really experience its space and the beauty of it, and its art and its food and its people. Absolutely.
No, I think it's always really lovely when you can shoot in the place that you're actually filming. And it really helped me. Obviously I'm British and I had to do this thick Delco accent, so I was so grateful to just be surrounded by people from the area. And like I flew out to Philly 2 weeks early and I was bar hopping trying to talk to locals to try and like record the accent and like, you know, ask questions. Can you repeat that word again? Can you repeat that word again? And so it was really, I was really grateful to have the Delco community at such a close reach when we were shooting.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask because, like, I studied theater, and I used to, like, certain phrases would get me into accents. Like, especially ones that I'm, like, not used to.
Yeah.
Were there any that you were like, okay, like, I have to figure out this word? Because, like, if I don't have my Pittsburgh accent anymore, and if someone asks what it is, I always say, are Jens going up there to the Steelers game? And it's like, that's how you get back into what it is. But did you guys have one when you're figuring out what the Pennsylvania?
I did. I would always like, because a lot of my scenes were really emotional and heavy, and so sometimes I would say it before crying, just because sometimes when I cry I go British because I'm actually making myself cry. And so, but I would say
you like in a little like box just repeating this one line to
just weeping. Yeah. But I would say like, don't worry about it, because it's like a lot of the sounds. It's like the O and the you know, a lot of the sounds all in one sentence. So I would say that a lot. And then like hoagie from the Wawa. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or like wood rice.
Oh my gosh. Well, and so I keep stealing this from Martha, but it was really nice, and I liked what she said about it. She said that Brad's writing is not like it's not exposition, but it is behavioral writing. So it tells you about a character without spelling it out. For actors, or for you guys as actors, is it more fun to have a script that is informing you about your character, but not just flat out telling you?
Oh, 100%.
100%, yeah.
I never read. I mean, I was a big fan of Brad's before this came into my life. I loved Mare of Easttown, but I think Brad is just such an authentic writer, and I just love that he writes every character with so many layers.
Yeah.
And just every character is so complex, and they have such a rich backstory. It was so nice, like, going into a project and not having so many questions about what the character has been up to or their life prior to where you find them in the show. It was so nice to just have so much already on the page, but at the same time, you know, so much that you could do yourself and explore. And he created such a safe space for collaboration, and I'm really grateful that I got to work with Brad. I think he's so amazing.
100%. I mean, really early on, we started having meetings, and I'm like, wait, the showrunner wants to have meetings with me, little old moi. And then and then they were so amazing because he really just was like, how do you feel? What do you think about the character? What is this like? How is this exciting you? And I think he really is such a collaborator, and I think that it's rare to come about in TV where things are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
He really does pay a lot of attention, and he's with us at all times. Like first person there, last person to leave, always available for an email, always available for a chat, you know. And I feel like he also has this beautiful way of revealing things in the script. So like when we were getting the script slowly, we were like we were just like being in awe or shocked by the things that we were discovering, not only in our characters but in the world itself. Yeah, he's something else.
Well, and I said this before too. I was like, I don't know if it's my brain, because I was just like, I'm looking at Mark Ruffalo do detective-ish work, but like one of my favorite movies is Zodiac. And this reminded me of the pace of Zodiac and kind of the idea that people are trying to do the best that they can at their jobs that they're doing, and then you're also getting to see the crimes happening at the exact same time. And when you guys are part of something where it is a slower paced show and you guys have to like live in these characters for like long stretches of somewhat kind of quieter moments, what for you guys was the biggest challenge of just letting yourselves breathe within those characters in those moments?
I mean, I think because our characters were so emotionally heavy, it was sometimes, you know, quite hard to shake it off almost. And there was a lot to explore that was, you know, I mean, for me, I was always like, I hope I'm hitting every single beat, because, I mean, I feel like with both of our characters, we were feeling so many emotions at the same time that were kind of the complete opposite to what we were maybe saying or showing to other characters.
Yeah, and I feel like because they are, I wouldn't say that they are in the shadow of these two men, but they are kind of supporting them. There is a bit of like that, the classic, like there's the women picking up the pieces of what the men have left behind. And in our sense, I feel like it does make it makes it really exciting, but like you said, there is that space of what's next. What are they gonna do next, and how are we gonna have to like clean it up.
Yeah. I think that's what Brad was really good at in this, though. It's like because we do go through so much, he does sprinkle moments of lightness.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you know, like our sarcastic comments, like Maeve being like, I'm 21 and I have been for 9 months. Why do you think I'm 20? Like, and you know, your comment to Mark.
Yeah, whenever he has, like, when my sister picked up, like, smoking again, and I'm like, oh, right, when you got kidnapped.
Yeah,
like, it's like there's this
those are like
lightness.
nice light moments before, as you say, you know, the space between what happens next and what's being thrown at these two.
But I think
characters.
because we also see other relationships with these girls, we don't only see their relationship to their, you know, father figures, and if we're talking about Tom and Robbie, but also like the relationships they have to their friends, the relationship they have to like this boy that she likes, the relationship she has to a guidance counselor or a boy she goes on a date with. I feel like because Brad still makes a point of showing us who they are outside of this very complex, really dark space, and how they also interact with other people other than Robbie and Tom. I think that made it easier to like discover who they are outside of this really tough space that they were both in.
The moments between the moments are really important.
Yeah, I love the show a lot. I told Brad, I was like, listen, it reminded me of so many things I loved, and also I'm still mad about Mare of Easttown and Evan Peters. But thank you guys for talking. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for everyone else to get to see Task.
It was so nice to meet you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, and you?
Doing great. So to start, so I'm from the other side of Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But the accents instantly in their show, I was like, yep, Pennsylvania. I could just like hear it. And so I wanted to ask you guys, what for you was the biggest trick to making sure you guys were in the feel of what Pennsylvania feels like as a state? Because watching this, I was like, yes, that felt like my home state, and I didn't feel like I was watching a show kind of pretending to be a bunch of Pennsylvanians.
Oh, good. I feel like it was a mix of things, right? It was like a lot of efforts. It was costumes, it was dialect, it was Brad and Jeremiah and Sally. It was so many elements that went into, I think, ensuring that world was as full and vibrant as it hopefully it came off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Suzanne Sobey, our dialect coach, was fantastic. She's from the area, and she made sure that we would, uphold the accent and the energy of the place in a way that felt authentic and felt real. But like I was saying to the lads earlier, there I was like, I had no context for Philly. I had no context for Pennsylvania because I hadn't been there. I'd been to other American cities, but it wasn't until we got there that certainly like certain elements of the script and the story and the energy of the place solidified once we landed in, and we were like, okay, this is what this is, you know what I mean? And it's very potent, that energy, do you know what I mean? It's very specific to that place. So that was super helpful. Yeah.
What about for you, Jamie?
Well, I didn't have to do the accent, which was good because Perry wasn't from there, but just it's Brad's writing and then being immersed into the place where you're actually filming, It was just amazing.
It's class, yeah.
When I said before, I was like, this reminds me a lot, and I was like, maybe it's just because it's Mark Ruffalo and it was like a slower paced thing, but I was like, Zodiac's one of my favorite movies.
Savage.
And it reminded me a lot of that because we get snippets of like the crime and what's going on, but then you also see people who are good at their jobs trying. You guys are the opposite side of that coin, and we get to see like the crime that's getting played out. We get to see those characters, what they're going through. How exciting is it for you guys as actors to get to dive into that stuff when you kind of see like the finished product and you see the pace of like the investigation that's going on at the same time?
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No.
You're closer.
It was phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Like to be afforded this opportunity to work with Brad, to work with Jeremiah, to work with Sally, to work with HBO. Do you know what I mean? To work at this level, like at this with Mark, with these gentlemen that are sat next to me, like it was just a dream come true. I think like these type of scripts just commanded a certain element of respect, I guess is the word I would use. You know what I mean? Like we had to show up in a way that was very not that you don't show up to other jobs. You know what I mean? But this was very particular. Like it was like I felt like I really had to push the boundaries of myself as a performer in order to even feel like I was entitled to show up on this set. You know what I mean? It was just a fantastic environment, and like we were telling really human stories, and these opportunities I think don't come along very often. Do you know? So to be able to to tell a story like this and to be afforded to play in this world, in that space, was just a dream come true.
Yeah, I think the scripts are Brad is such an amazing writer, and then you get this opportunity to be in this world. It's like the pinnacle of acting for us, I think.
Yeah.
And you have to, deliver as best you can.
It's great to be part of an ensemble too, where there's like converging storylines, and you're kind of in your lane and you're observing this lane over there and that lane, and sometimes you get to run into each other at base camp or on set or on the soundstage, and sometimes the storylines rub against each other, and but largely you kind of stay in your lane, and it's exciting to watch the other people work. I'm such a fan of the entire cast. I think there was a lot of camaraderie among the of the cast as a whole, but that's a really exciting environment to be in when everyone's working on such great material and everyone's firing on all cylinders, and
Yeah, when Martha said something in the other room that I'm now using I'm stealing it from her, I'm using it in every room. She said that Brad he doesn't write exposition in his dialogue, he writes behavioral dialogue, which allows you to understand characters better, because it's not just like someone's telling you what a character did.
Yeah.
As actors, I always like to ask actory questions because I studied theater, but like as actors, is getting the freedom to kind of figure out what that means for your character more fun when you don't have it just kind of written out in dialogue like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's what we were saying about the sandwich scene.
Yeah.
Like they have a scene where he and Robbie are just eating these sandwiches, but there's no tension. There's no
just two
but
lads.
it just tells the story of each of them.
Yeah.
So beautifully.
Yeah.
And so effortlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brad was really great about helping us build backstories for these characters, and with stuff that didn't necessarily show up on screen, or it wasn't necessarily spoon-fed to the audience, but it helped us as actors and gave us sort of a three-dimensionality that I think was imperative for the whole process.
Unreal.
Yeah, when you guys mentioned costumes, one of my favorite things about this is like, I don't know what it is, but like Tom's like neck tattoo, I was like, yeah, I've seen that, dude. Like it's just like those little things really helped. Was there something within the costume or whatever it is throughout the process of the show that like you guys either got to pick or you put on that you were like, yeah, this is it. This is like what makes me the happiest?
Yeah, shout out to Megan Kasperlik, our costume designer.
An animal.
Yeah.
Absolute
And
animal.
makeup.
Yeah.
And Anna Stackhow, her whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of head of tattoo design as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, we got to, especially their tattoos. I mean, they're like, what do you think? What do you think Perry has? Or I'm sure you went through too. And then wardrobe, they would pull out different things, and you're like, that. And even before we even met, I'd say, all right, this is how I see Perry, and then they bring it out. It's good.
Oh yeah, we would do because I've got tattoos myself as a person. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be pulled in super early in the morning. I think my earliest call time was like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. To be in the chair for 3:30 in the middle of the night. Do you know what I mean? No one was even going to bed at that point. And we would cover all of mine first, and then we would put Jason's on. And we would blare heavy metal music, like drinking double espressos like lunatics, like till 8 o'clock in the morning till we had to be on set. But it wasn't until the throat tattoo, that front one, went on, and we put the same song on all the time. It's Queens of the Stone Age. You won't think I'm worth $1, but I am. That tune. Yeah. For the first tune of Songs for the Deaf or whatever. And when we put that on, it was like, okay, this is it. And then the rings and the cut and everything. It was a whole world, wasn't it? It was like it was great. It was such a vibe. It was class.
And a half tree means 3.5 hours.
Oh my, this lad. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like I would be there forever. Well, but yeah, like I love the show a lot, so I just wanted to tell you guys thank you so much for honoring Pennsylvania. It rolled, and I can't wait for everyone else to get to see Task.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Lovely to meet you.
So to start, I was talking to Martha in that room, and we were talking about Pennsylvania and the feel, and they both were like, "This is a you thing because you're." And then I looked up, it's like, "Oh, you're from Philly." That's
yes.
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay, got it.
And so first, I want to say congrats on being brave and actually letting people do the Pennsylvania accent. But when you are doing something that is set in Philly, which is, it's different from other places in Pennsylvania, but it is very Pennsylvania as a whole.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge of making sure that like your home state felt as authentic and real as possible?
Yeah, I think I feel a great, responsibility, to get it right. I think that's something that I'm really mindful of while I'm writing, and also on set every day, is to have little details, but not overdo it too, not try to like jam it down people's throats, because the truth is, some people from Delco will watch a show, but the vast majority of viewers won't be from Delco. They won't know the details. They're not going to care about them. But I think more than anything, it's trying to represent the area with honesty and authenticity, because I like where I live, I like where I grew up, I like the people there, and I want to do right by them. And I think we don't often get to tell stories, or I don't see a ton of stories about working class people out there. And I think when we do see them, maybe they're not as layered as other stories people are telling. So I like writing stories about working class people, and I like telling them with a lot of complexity and compassion.
Yeah, well, and it's very funny because I was like, listen, I love the pit, but I'm like, don't you say use. Like, that is a Philly thing. Why are you saying use in this? But it is like, I was watching this, I was like, yeah, it felt like I was watching people who I would have known growing up.
Yeah.
And what I also love is on the flip side of that, you have people who are good at their job and they're trying to solve a case.
Yeah.
And they're trying to work really hard. And how is it, getting to just tell both sides of a story like this and show people who are just trying to do the best that they can, while you also get to have a little bit more fun with like the crime element of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's like always balancing a character piece with a procedural, and trying to honor both. And in actual writing it and then in editing, it's always like, all right, we got to give the audience a bit of the procedural and give them a bit of the drama and the action set piece, but then let's buy ourselves a bit of time to do the character work, because I feel like a show like this is a collision course, and if you get to that collision point and the audience doesn't care about the people, then it feels a bit lackluster. So our goal was always to arrive at the collision point at the top of episode 6 and be like, wow, and I feel like I know all of these people, and I like them all. So now I'm scared because they're all together in one place, and man, I don't know who's going to come out of this alive. And I think that speaks to what you're saying, which is it needs to be a procedural, so we're not avoiding the genre elements. We're wrapping our arms around that, and the audience has an expectation coming in that it's going to be a procedural, it's going to move like a thriller, but also trying to respect the themes of the show and being considerate and patient with character, so when we get to the bullets flying scenes, you feel like, oh God, I'm nervous because I like these people, Yeah,
when I wonder, like, part of my brain wonders if it's just because this is one of my favorite movies, and you also have Mark Ruffalo in it, but, like, I love the movie Zodiac, and this felt a lot like Zodiac and how it, like, was paced, and the timing of it, and people who were trying to do their best while you also get glimpses of the crimes.
Yes.
Is that something that you were, like, cautious of when you were writing it, and making sure that, like, the timing of it wasn't rushed, so then when we did get to certain points, we're like, well, yeah, we've saw that 4 episodes ago.
I know. It's it's a tough thing, because audiences are also, there's so much out there, and so if you're too patient, they're like, I don't want to watch this. So it's like, what is the balance where you've got them just hooked enough to buy yourself a few more minutes of character stuff, and then you got to hook them again? And I think it's a bit of a math game you're playing constantly, is like, how much time, I just had a cool action set piece, I just gave them a clue, how much time do I have to do some of the character work before I got to get back to the thing? And so I think it's a product of audiences being really trained to expect certain things in this genre, and they're coming to it going, I want a crime thriller, I want it to thrill me, I want it, and that I want it to do too, but I also want to explore characters and themes and have emotional arcs in the show too. And so it's like, the pacing is really, really tough, and and it's, everyone has a different opinion about the pacing. It's like everyone, some people want it to be faster, some people love that it's a bit more patient, some people, and I think we found a place where we felt really, that we were hopefully able to achieve embracing the genre, while also embracing the character piece that we want it to be.
And you were awarded a great turn of phrase in the other room. They said that you don't write with, like, dialogue isn't expositional. You instead it's behavioral dialogue, and so then you find out who a character is based on, like, their actions through their words, not necessarily like, oh, this person ran around and, like, if someone doesn't just say it. Yeah. Is that for you as a writer, like, more fun to kind of explore what a character is like through words versus just telling somebody? Yeah,
of course. I think it always gets, I think audiences can feel it now. They watch so much TV. They know when they're being told what an actor, what a character is supposed to feel like. And I think if you are able to find opportunities to do that through action or through reactions or through what isn't said. If you're able to do that, always go for it, and I think we're always looking for ways to illuminate a character through a habit, a routine, a look, an avoidance. How do you tell character moments really quickly and efficiently? And sometimes that's really through what they don't say or what they won't confront or how they're hiding something. And I think that's the best way to convey character. Isn't necessarily to have them sit down across from somebody and say, well, I went to school here, I did this is what I like. It's like, well, how do you get all of that information out in a look, a letter or something like that? How do you condense it in a way that's really effective? And so I think I'm always looking for ways to condense a character trait or to have it be a reaction, as I said, something like that. If we can do some of that as opposed to having an actor say something, that's always the better way to do it, I think.
Yeah, well, and you also did it a little bit for me with the location too, because I didn't know where it was set. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go in and just watch it. Mm-hmm. And then I heard the accents. I was like, okay, well, they're from Pennsylvania, but where? And then eventually I heard them say Delco and the Ritas and all that stuff. And so for you, was there a little thing that you were like, all right, I gotta clue them in a little bit within this first episode. Let me throw this one thing in so people know.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it was the accent work. Mm-hmm. A lot of it was the Phillies Cup, the Phillies game, the Ritas. I think episode 1 was a very, maybe not so subtle way of saying, hey, we're back here, we're back in Delco. I think, I wanted the audience to feel like episode 1, okay, I know where we are in the world. I get it now, let's move on, And I think there were some little nods there that we put in there specifically in episode 1 to have an audience go, I know where we are in the world, I get it, now we can tell the story we're wanting to tell,
And with a show like this, like I said, it is a little bit more of a slow burn, but it's fun because you know kind of both sides and what's going on at all time. What for you is the most exciting part about getting to kind of show it to the world and watch them slowly learn what you've created over the season?
Yeah, I think it's just, I think what I'm most proud of are the performances, and that I have honestly extremely little to do with the performances, but I think it's a real actor's piece, just like I thought Mayor was an actor's piece, and those actors were so good, and I think the actors in this are so good, and I think, what the thing I like, about a show or about a reaction to a show isn't necessarily with Mayor, is like, oh, the twist was so good. I think what I like to hear from people is like, oh, I understand. I felt like I knew those people, and if someone says that to me, then I feel like I've done my job. Like, wow, I feel like I knew those characters. They were people that I felt were real, and I think that's a testament to the actors we have. That I think they're all so good across the board, and I hope people walk away and remember the characters and the character journeys as opposed to the twists and turns along the way, which are effective and important, but I always want the audience to leave with remembering the characters. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I will say I literally thought of ways that we could bring back Evan Peters for 2 weeks after that. I was like, I got this. He's not actually dead. He's fine. He's okay. Well, thank you.
He was great.
He was fine.
He was so great.
Thank you for talking with me. I really appreciate it. And I
thank
can't
you
wait for everyone. So, hi. To start, I'm from Pittsburgh, which is the opposite side of the state of Pennsylvania, but it is a similar accent as a whole. So what I loved about this show is it did feel very much like I was watching a slice of life from Pennsylvania. And for you guys as actors, what was the thing that helped you not only get into the feel of Pennsylvania as a state, which I know you guys filmed there, but helped you understand these characters and how they were living in Pennsylvania?
I found just once I moved over, I think once I got there, I just hung around. I just went to places. I just listened to people, and especially when we got to go to set and we're in Delaware County, and
everyone's from New Jersey or Philly, and
all of the drivers had these amazing
all the teamsters
accents,
and all the crew, and so as soon as you're there,
it's just you're just injected with
you
it.
Can't not, and then if you're so when you go away on holiday, sometimes you develop a bit of an accent.
Yeah.
You start
Suddenly
doing it. You're like, biro this, and you're like, whoa, why am I doing that? That's what it felt like in Philly. I don't do that. That's
I know.
Not in a culturally appropriating way, but just.
But I even find the food that you're suddenly eating that's different.
And all your gestures, I feel your gestures start. I started doing things I don't do.
You're around Italians
in real life the whole time, and suddenly you're like, all right, that's it, it's happening. Not that it happen. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, because what I really liked about this show too is like it felt. I think it's just because Mark Ruffalo's in it, but Zodiac is one of my favorite movies.
Me too.
And so it felt a lot like Zodiac because it is a slower pace, and you get to see people who are trying to be good at their jobs, and you also get to see the crime happening at the same time. And so because of that slower pace, you guys get to live with these characters a lot more. How much did that lived-in experience help you guys when you are working with, accents and characters who are going through their own personal issues on top of trying to do the best that they can at their job and things like that?
I think, the longer you get, if it were up to me, and I'm sure you feel the same, you would get you'd live in a place for 3 months before you start filming, or if you're playing like a chef, you'd cook for 3 months, or whatever it is. The more time you get to spend. So by the time you get to the end of the show, you feel like you finally got it. That's what's so frustrating.
Yeah, I know.
Is that you're finally I kind of feel like I get this thing, but you've already shot sort of 95% of everything you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes me a long time to get into the part. The truth is
2 months. 2 months.
2 months. 2 months, famously.
I think I don't know if this is answering your question, but all our characters are together because of this this task force or this crime that's happening we're trying to solve. But I think it makes the show, what makes the show good is the sort of the details of everybody's life and who they are and what they're all coming from. And Brad always leads with that, character first, plot second, kind of. And what's chugging the story along is the plot, but I think what's colouring it is the people. And that's always such a joy to get to work on, because
I agree.
That's sort of what you want to do as an actor, I think.
Yeah, when I've stolen this in every single room because Martha said it and I thought it was great, so I've just used it in every single interview. She said that Brad's scripts aren't exposition first, they are behavioral dialogue, and you learn about your character through the behavior of them.
Totally.
And as actors, how much do you enjoy just learning a character that way versus learning about who they are in the exposition or something?
Oh my
Well, you
gosh,
can't
yeah.
learn in the exposition, because the exposition ultimately, especially if it's badly written, none of which this is, but when you get bad exposition, you are just relaying information for the sake of the audience. So your job is ostensibly to inform the audience of where we are in the story and where we're going in the story. And it's very difficult within that to have any, the human stuff comes out and when two people are just being together. Do you know what I mean?
And it makes all those moments when we do have to do the exposition, when we do have to be in a status meeting or whatever they're called, and say, oh, this is the information on this, or we have to use all the jargon, that it makes those moments more interesting, because you can see, oh, that person's sort of nervous relaying that because they're that way, or that person's really confident, or this person's sort of hiding something, or it's not just sort of procedural jargon. It's there's all this stuff underneath it.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask too, because I know you have a bunch of little tattoos. I have a million little tattoos, but with tattoos and costumes and all these things that come with characters, how does your costume, or either covering up your tattoos or adding or whatever it is, how do things like that help you in figuring out specifics within your characters? I feel like the show has such a cool look to each character.
Yeah. I feel like, for me at least, the costume is that is genuinely the first thing I think about almost always. I find that bit of when you step it. Ali talked a lot about how the accent was the thing that really helped her unlock the character, and I felt for me it was the costume. It was as soon as I stepped in and found the right shoes, the right trousers that fit the right way, and he has a cross on his chain, and he's got his Mary tattoo, and it's that stuff, the haircut, all those outside things. I find it so hard when it's you look like you, and then the best bit of the day, certainly when you step out of hair and makeup and you suddenly look different, you find it so much easier to Ali had this amazing walk that she did that she just doesn't do in real life at all, but as soon as she would put on these little shoes that she had, she would start doing this little walk, and that was it was immediate, and I think that with that side of it is such a such a help, isn't it?
I remember when I moved out, I saw a lot of girls who had these money pieces, and I just rang Brad and I was like, can I have that? Because I just felt, I was like, oh my God, because they sort of, I don't know if it's distinct. It felt distinct to the place, but it also felt like there was just something a bit like sort of mismatched about it. And I really liked that she's sort of wearing this FBI jacket, but has these sort of bleached streaks in the front of her hair, and like, or when I did a costume fitting, they had got me this big Eagles t-shirt, or like, you know, little details like that tell you so much about a character.
Totally.
And that's helpful for yourself and also for the audience, I think.
Yeah, last thing I want to ask, and it's a little bit more fun because I studied theater in college, and so what I used to do is like I would have little phrases that would help me get into accents.
Oh, great.
And I have since gotten rid of my Pittsburgh accent, but if I ever want to show someone what it's like, I just say, "Are yins going up there to the Distillers game?" And so I wanted
one more time.
"Are yins going up there to the Distillers game?"
Wow.
Because yins is our version of like
yins
yous.
going up there to Distillers game.
Stillers.
Irish. That's what I
It's
thought.
well, because we're like it's,
Yeah, 'cause
yeah,
you guys
it's
are,
for
okay,
everybody.
right,
It's
that's what you
Irish,
said,
Italian,
yeah.
and Scottish
Wow,
people.
that's
and things.
yeah.
But so I was gonna ask you guys. You guys are both doing American accents in this. Did you have like a phrase or something that helped you when
I
you're
did,
figuring out
yeah.
the getting to it?
I just can't remember what it was, but I had it written down. I had it written down in my character journal thing. But I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I would read it before, especially if I'd been away.
Yes,
like I had like a month
yes.
break in the middle where I had to go away and like do press for something else. And I remember coming back, and that was I just kept reading that because I was like, oh fuck, have I forgotten it now? You know.
I don't think I'll be able to say this correctly at all, but I remember I used to have to say, this is going to sound so terrible, headed south on Edmonds Road.
Nice.
I used to have to say that, and I would say that over.
Nice.
I would say that over and
Yes.
over again. Headed south on Edmonds Road.
On Edmonds Road.
Road.
On Edmonds Road.
Headed south on Edmonds Road.
Headed south on Edmonds Road.
Oh, I love the show a lot. I can't wait for everyone else to get to see it. So thank you guys for
Us
talking.
too. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
So nice to meet you.